Chapter 10 of the Shortstop. This is a LibriVox recording. All LibriVox recordings are in the public domain. For more information or to volunteer, please visit LibriVox.org. Reading by Rowdy Delaney, Idaho, USA. Chapter 10 Marjory and Pond Lilies. It was July 2nd, and Chase was happy. Many things had occurred to make him so. Summed up, they made a great, beautiful whole. The team had won 14 straight victories before dropping a game to Columbus, and had come home in first place. He had kept up his good work, especially at the bat. Friends he had made everywhere. What a rousing welcome Findlay had given its team on homecoming. On the first of the month he had drawn $100 and sent it home to his mother. While in Columbus, Mac had taken him to see a surgeon, a wonderful specialist who had injected something into the corner of his crooked eye, had cut a muscle or ligament, and then bound a little black cap over the eye, cautioning him to wear it till a certain time. Chase had managed to play with only one eye, but now the time was up. That morning he had temporarily slipped off the black cap to find he did not recognize the straight glanced, clear eyed person in the mirror. Then there was another thing, which, though he would hardly admit it to his own consciousness, had more than all else added a brightness to his day. An exceptionally large and enthusiastic audience had attended yesterday's game, and in the grandstand, sitting among a merry crowd of young people, he had seen golden hair and blue eyes that he knew. He looked again to make sure. It was Marjory. And the whole grandstand seemed to grow gayer and brighter. The shrill cries of the excited rooters had a joyous ring. The very sky and field took on a warmer color. The wonder of wonders was that at a critical stage of the game, when by fast sprinting he scored a run and was passing by the stand, he looked up to catch wonderfully in all the sea of faces and waving hats a smile meant for him. Even the abuse of his fellow players, renewed doubly since the homecoming, had no power to affect him after that smile. And a significant remark of Mittie Marew's had further enhanced the spell. "I've fixed it fer you, all right, all right. You mosey out along the river, see?" Chase had turned hot and cold at Mittie's speech, had lamely questioned him further, but nothing more, except elaborate winks, could be elicited from the mascot. And all this was why Chase was happy and roaming wild in the meadows. It was a soft, warm summer morning. The larks were turning their black spotted yellow breasts to the sun and singing their sweet songs. Chase tramped and tramped, and ever resolutely tried to turn away from the maple grove along the river. But every circle led that way, and he found himself at last in the shade of the trees. Through the bushes he caught a glance of the cool river, and then he saw a boat, and a glimpse of blue and a gleam of gold. He tried to run away, but he could not. His steps led him down the sandy path to the huge old maple. "Good morning, Mr. Chase. Why, aren't you lost?" Marjory's blue eyes regarded him in laughing surprise. Chase had a vague thought that somehow he was lost, but all he could think of to say was that the weather was fine for the time of year. "It is lovely," she said. Then he had a brilliant thought, and he wondered why it had not come sooner. "Were you going to row?" "Oh, yes, I always row every morning." "Might I would you I like to row." "You do? How nice. Then you must row me up to the meadow pond where the lilies grow." Chase awkwardly got into the boat. Whatever was wrong with his hands and feet? When he had seated himself and straightened the oars he began to row. She was very close to him. He had not looked up, but he saw her little feet and the blue hem of her gown. "You're rowing into the bank," she said. "Why, so I am." Hastily he turned out and then was careful to row straight. The boat glided smoothly and silently. The little river meandered between high green banks. Tall trees cast shadows on the water. Here were dark patches of shade, there golden spaces of sunshine. Birds were flitting and singing. "Have you seen Mittie Maru?" asked Chase. "Yes, indeed, lots of times. I've seen his den and fished with him, and we've rowed after pond lilies and had fine times together." What was there in her simple, kind words to make him feel so strangely toward Mittie? Of course he was glad she had been with Mittie, but somehow the gladness was an entirely new thing. All at once he discovered he was sorry that the Findlay team had to play games on the road. If it had not been for that, he could have helped her give Mittie a good time. "Here's the pond," said Marjory. "It's very shallow, so you must be careful or we'll stick in the mud." Chase saw that the river widened out into a large basin. There were islands and bogs and piles of driftwood. The green and gold and white of pond lilies sparkled on all sides. The place was alive with birds and water denizens. Kingfishers resented the invasion. Water wagtails skimmed the surface and screamed plaintive cries. Turtles splashed off stumps and frogs plunked under the lily pads. Snakes sunned themselves in bright places, and a great gray crane stood solemnly on one leg and watched. "I want a pink one," said Marjory, after Chase had gathered a mass of dripping lilies. He rode around the pond and at last located a lily of the desired color, but he could not reach it from the boat. He stepped out upon a log and stretched as far as he could reach. "Oh, you'll fall in!" cried Marjory, in sweet solicitude. Chase slipped off the log and went in with a great splash. The water came up to his waist. He managed by grasping a branch to avert a worse disaster, and securing the coveted pink lily, climbed back upon the log and so got into the boat. "You shouldn't have done that," she said. "It's nothing. I'll dry in a little while." Then they both laughed. Chase rowed back to the bank and placed the boat so that Marjory was in the shade of an overhanging grapevine, and he sat out in the sun. Somehow her merry laughter had given him courage, so he raised his glance to look at her. She had been only pretty before now, but the blue of her eyes meeting his drove away his thoughts. "When will you be able to take off the eye shield?" she asked. "Why, how did you know?" he asked breathlessly. "I heard, and I read the baseball notes every day." "You do!" exclaimed Chase. Then he took off the shield and threw it away. "Oh, I'm glad, but are you sure it's time?" "Yes. I only waited because well, that is, I wanted you to see me first." This appeared to be an unfortunate remark, for Marjory colored a soft rose under her white cheeks and began diligently to sort the lilies. "Mittie Maru will be glad," said Chase. "If only he could be cured too," she replied. "Do you know he suffers all the time, and sometimes dreadfully, yet he never says a word." "Yes, I know. Poor Mittie." Chase found it much easier to talk, now she avoided looking at him. "You were at the game yesterday. Do you like baseball?" "Oh, yes, indeed. I like the running, and I love to see the ball flying, but I don't understand much of the game." "Won't you let me teach you?" "Thank you, that would be nice, but I'm so stupid." "Stupid? You?" Chase laughed at the hint of such an impossibility. A blue flitting gleam flashed upon him from under the long lashes. "Oh, I am. Now, what is a bingo?" "A bingo? Why, that's baseball talk for a safe hit, a ball knocked safely out of the reach of a fielder." "What does Captain Winters mean when he hops round the base and yells 'Mugg's Landing! Irish stew! Ras pataz!'" "He's coaching, then, saying any old thing to try and rattle the pitcher." "Oh, is that it? What do you do with a base after you steal it?" "Stealing a base means to run from first to second, or from second to third without being put out. It really means stealing the distance, not the base." "What's a foul?" "A ball hit any way back of the white lines, running from home plate to first and third base." "What's a knocker? A fellow who gives the ball a knock?" "That's more baseball talk. A fellow who speaks ill of another is a knocker." "Oh, but doesn't he play the game too? I heard Captain Winters say he was captain and first knocker. I'm surprised about him. He has such a nice face." "Captain Winters meant that he was the first batter." "Then why did he say he was first knocker?"